Months ago, Democrats called for a bipartisan budget, and we wanted negotiations to start. And we wanted to make sure a couple things took place during those negotiations. Number one, no more sequester cuts. They were devastating. And we wanted to make sure that the middle class was taken care of, just as our veterans and military folks were taken care of. But we made it clear that any agreement must responsibly fund the government without any poison pill riders. The Bipartisan Budget Act paved the way for us to accomplish these goals. It shows what we can do when Republicans will stop listening to the loudest voices in the Tea Party and listen to common sense. Soon, thanks to the advances made in the budget agreement, the Senate will pass an appropriation bill that increases funding for veterans by $2 billion. The President will sign that bill shortly. Now, that means real progress. The VA will be able to hire new claims processors, lots and lots of them, invest in rural health. Because of our sticking together, we were able to get $2 billion more for veterans, $2 billion. If we had listened to the loud, shrill voices of the Republicans, they would have passed this same bill, $2 billion short. It would have hurt 70,000 veterans. We were able to get that done. We need to do more to fix the VA. We know that. There's still a big, long claims backlog, but we're making progress. This is a step forward. Passing the Veterans Funding Bill moves us closer to an omnibus funding bill that will responsibly fund the government. The Veterans Appropriations Bill had not a single poison pill rider in it. So there's just a few short weeks, to be exact, three weeks until there's a government shutdown. I hope Republican leaders will spend that time negotiating a bipartisan omnibus agreement. And I will mention we've been making progress every day. Senator Durbin.
Taliban left. Thanks, Senator Reid. I just want to make this point, and I think Senator Reid has made it pretty effectively. Because of the position we took, calling for more money on the non-defense side of the budget, we put in $2 billion in the veterans programs that wasn't included initially when the Republicans wrote their budget. $2 billion. So tomorrow when we talk at our Veterans Day events, and most of us will, we can point with pride to the fact that we came together in a bipartisan budget agreement and reached that conclusion. Now, I would just make the point that Senator Reid made as well. The calendar tells us we have 3 weeks left. 3 weeks left and 11 appropriation bills. We cannot do them individually. We have to come together, and the key to this is not only the dollar amount, which is prescribed by the budget agreement, but also getting rid of these meddlesome, vexatious, as they call them, riders. If we're going to get down to the serious business of appropriating and get this done on time by December 11th, we need this same approach, and we need to start it now.
Senator Schumer.
Thank you. Well, the Senate today has taken an important step forward towards an omnibus funding bill to take the threat of a government shutdown off the table. And it's not a minute too soon. In just over a month, we're going to run up right again against a deadline for Congress to honor the bipartisan budget agreement that passed 2 weeks ago. So rather than playing with fire and attempting to insert poison pill riders that will bog down individual appropriations bills, Republicans should move quickly to complete negotiations on an omnibus bill that skips the riders and fully funds our national and economic security. For months, Senate Democrats called for negotiations. You heard us here doing it week after week after week. And we did it so we could hash out a bipartisan budget agreement. For months, we were rebuffed. Back on June 18th, the four of us wrote the Republican leaders, urging them to sit down and work out a bipartisan agreement. Now, we could have spent the last several months working through the appropriations process, which some Republicans say they want to do right now. But since Republicans didn't heed our calls to sit down and talk until the very last minute, we're just about out of time. Instead, Republicans tried to run out the clock, and at the end of the day, their failure to act put us right up against the deadline. Now, the path forward to avoid a shutdown is very simple. We don't have time to do individual bills. We should pass an omnibus bill that steers clear of poison pill riders. I hope in the coming weeks our Republican colleagues will negotiate in good faith so we can provide certainty to the economy and help middle-class families across the country the way we have just helped veterans, with good, robust increases in spending that the budget agreement allows.
Senator Murray.
Well, the Milcon bill is really a great example of the work we can do together when Republican leaders push away the Tea Party, hold back from partisan pill riders, and work with us to get things done. The additional investments in that bill makes in our veterans care and military construction are possible because of that bipartisan budget deal that restored cuts to health care and education, jobs, and middle-class priorities. It is investments like those and so many more across the federal budget that families across the country are expecting us to continue working together on in the coming weeks. So I'm hoping that Republican leaders continue the bipartisan work we started with the budget deal and the bill that was done today. If they keep the Tea Party on the sidelines and don't allow our work to be derailed with egregious partisan riders that hurt workers and families or the environment, I'm confident that we'll be able to get this done. And finally, while we honor our veterans every day, tomorrow is a day when we should all recommit to the promises we made to them and their families. There's a whole lot more our government needs to do to make sure we are holding up our end of the bargain for the men and women who have sacrificed so much. This bill is a good step in the right direction. We need to keep building on that.
Questions?
Considering that President Obama has sent ground troops into Syria, do you regret not taking up the AUMF that passed committee last year?
No.
On the Islamic, and why not?
I don't believe in AUMs. Yes.
Do you believe that President Obama has the authority to violate the provisions included in the NDAA that prohibit the transfer of detainees to the United States? And do you support the idea of transferring detainees to the United States?
First of all, President Obama is a constitutional lawyer, and he'll determine what he can do and not do, following the advice of his lawyers in the White House.
Do you support the idea of putting detainees to the United States?
Next question.
Update on the omnibus negotiations. You say you'd like them to come to the table and negotiate. Can you give an update on how much conversation has happened, where you stand in the process, and what you expect in the next week or two?
Sarah Mikulski has said progress is being made, and I know that's the case. She's talked to me on a number of occasions, and I think that's good. Time is of the essence. During the time that some of us will be doing things other than being here on Capitol Hill, working on legislative issues, she and her staff will be working with the Republicans to move forward on this legislation during the next few days. So I feel there's no question that it can be done. But we can't be, as Senator Schumer mentioned, sidetracked by foolishness. We had all summer long to do every appropriation bill. But they refused to do it at a number that was fair to the middle class of America. And the fact that we weren't able to do individual appropriation bills is not our fault. And so now to come up with this late date and say we need to do individual appropriation days when we have just a few days, I mentioned 3 legislative weeks, and legislative weeks around here have been pretty short.
The administration has criticized both Republicans and Democrats in Congress for passing legislation that restricts their ability to close Guantanamo by transferring detainees to the U.S. Do you have any plans, does the Democratic leadership have any plans to help them sell this plan to close Guantanamo that's supposed to be submitted to Congress at the end of this week?
Congress has done their job, whether you agree or disagree. They've spoken on Guantanamo in the bill. And so the president will do what he has to do. He's going to sign the bill, and then he'll determine whether or not he has any administrative authority to do anything different than what's in that bill.
What would Congress's recourse be if he did take executive action to close Guantanamo?
Well, we can do whatever we want legislatively. So I think we're getting way beyond anything that I have heard. I talked to the president as late as yesterday. He never mentioned Guantanamo, that he was planning on doing it. Now, does that mean that he might do something? I don't know. But he hasn't talked to me, and I don't know who else he has talked to about it. So I think,
Leader Reed, some Republicans are talking about repealing the expansion of Medicaid. What kind of impact do you think that would have?
Get vetoed.
well, there have been a multitude of stories. Just repealing Medicaid?
Expansion of Medicaid
Oh, man.
under Obamacare.
Good luck to him. All right? Thanks.
Get vetoed.